Hello everybody, and welcome to today's session where we're going to take a look at learning on the fly, and we're going to take a look at a story that I have been involved with over the last several years, and that is personalized journeys at the USA Today Network. My name is Craig Lutz. I'm the Director of Learning and Technology at the USA Today Network. I've been with the organization for about 5 years, but I've spent the last 15 years at several different digital organizations in the learning and development space. And over the last 15 years, I think those of us that have been involved in learning and development have seen that space evolve over time from the traditional instructor-led classroom training, user guides, PowerPoint decks printed out in books, to the digital age in which we are in today. And not only that, but with medium to larger size companies, we're not all located in one or two locations or within a region, and we often have to onboard folks and train folks not only in the masses, but also individually, sometimes one at a time, two at a time, a small group. And so today we're going to take a look just at our story about how we were able to personalize learning journeys in a very geographically dispersed workforce. So a couple of the specific things that we'll take a look at in addition to our story. I'm going to do this while telling our story, and hopefully that will help resonate with you all here today. Using curriculums to customize learning journeys. So we use Saba as our learning management system. I've worked with many learning management systems. And we know with many of these enterprise systems that there's a lot of similarities. And I will try to keep terms general as we talk about this today. Learners and onboarding coaches. Taking a look at, it's very easy in today's world to make everything digital, make everything automatic, make everything prescribed. And sometimes when you do that, you end up unintentionally removing the human element of that onboarding or that training relationship. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we automate a lot of things, but how we also interject that human touch point. We'll take a look at how we solved for both our formal and our informal learning and in one unified system to make it easy for all of our folks in different groups with different needs, the ability to be able to access this information not only within one system, but in a system that was highly searchable, that allowed folks to find things what they needed and do it very quickly. And then also we'll take a quick look at some tracking where we'll look at some numbers and what we were doing and how we were performing before we implemented this solution where what we call learning on the fly and personalized learning journeys. And then we'll take a look at some of the success that we saw as a result of that. I think what's important to note up front is whenever you begin a task that seems to be very large, you can know what needs to be done. You can get buy-in from leadership and stakeholders as to the direction that you need to go with your learning and your learning content. But when you finally define all that and you're ready to begin, it can sometimes seem like a pretty big mountain to have to climb. And oftentimes in our space, as many in the learning and development field know, we don't always have large teams of resources to be able to accomplish these sometimes big feats. And so this was a motto that I used and we used, and that is simply this: impossible is just an opinion. And we kind of kept that at the forefront all the way through our transformation of our learning at the USA Today Network. And so let me just briefly get into our story to set some context for what we're going to take a look at here today. At the USA Today Network, our branding arm, our branding message is local IQ. So USA Today Network spans across the United States, 109 different locations, all that need training on sales, on selling print and digital marketing solutions to local businesses. And we really have an effort and a purpose and a mission to help local communities connect, act, and thrive. And so we have positioned ourselves to be able to be seen as the industry expert when it comes to these small businesses and their marketing needs. And so as you can see here, we really are the intelligent way to reach local customers. Now you can't go out with a message like that and not know what you're talking about. So you can see why training and learning and development is very important within our organization. We help these clients do things like build their presence. We help them get leads that turn into transactional business. And then manage those needs, understand what is working for them. And so we really have a sales organization that is knowledgeable and needs to be knowledgeable to perform this. And so what we did when we kind of analyzed the landscape of all the learning content, the instructor-led, the virtual instructor-led, the e-learning, the video vignettes, the job aids, all that just-in-time training, when we did an evaluation, we found that we had a lot of good content. The issue that we found was that content lived in silos. And as you can imagine, with an organization that has 109 different properties and locations or business offices, that when you're trying to train and level set folks on similar processes, similar go-to-market messages, similar sales strategies, that can kind of get lost in the mix when each of those organizations, if you will, is kind of doing their own thing. So we set out to bring all of that together and create a one-stop shop that would really help people to be able to learn in the moment, or as the title of our session today, Learning on the Fly, Personalized Learning Journeys. And so one way we did that is we searched for and evaluated different learning systems and technologies that were available to really determine what it was that, or what system would really meet our needs. We started by putting together a robust set of requirements that listed out specifically what we wanted to accomplish. And in the end, there were a number of providers that we could have went with. We ended up going with Saba. We're using Saba today. And within that system, as like other systems of its kind, you can do things like create curriculums, create learning journeys, and that's really what we needed to accomplish. And this is really kind of if you're looking for what was the big business problem that we were trying to solve for, day after day, week after week, month after month, this is probably something that you have heard. It's not specific to our business, but nonetheless, this was a problem that we were facing, is I can't find what I need, and I can't find it quickly and easily so that I can go about doing my job and I can generate revenue. So that was really what our big problem was that we were trying to solve for. We needed to solve for a few specific things: that unified learning system, a unified knowledge management system or a content management system. And then, as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't good enough just to be able to put it all in one system. It wasn't good enough just to be able to organize it all in one system. But we needed to make it even quicker in where they would be able to search for it, and not only on desktop, but on mobile. Because we know in today's society and in today's workforce that so much of the information that we are able to get comes from what we can hold in our hand, and that's our mobile device. And so as we take a look here, we're looking at a curriculum example of how we went about setting this up within our system. Now, to understand, when someone is onboarded into our sales organization, there are a number of different training modalities that they need to participate in. In some cases, some of the training that's part of that curriculum is on-site, so it's instructor-led, it's live. In some cases, it's instructor-led, but it's not on-site and it's virtual. And not only is it virtual, but as I mentioned, we have 109 different locations across the United States, including Guam. We're dealing with a number of different time zones, and we don't have a huge team that can offer a ton of classes that are available at a good time in an individual's time zone. So we needed a way to be able to offer a virtual class, let's say, and we needed to be able to offer that so that folks all across the United States in multiple time zones would be able to attend at the same time. And so when we're looking at this example here, a learner, when they're assigned this particular learning journey, they can go in and they're able to register for an instructor-led or a virtual instructor-led class. There might be some prerequisites to that class, so then they need to complete some e-learning before they attend that class. We actually have some configurations that won't allow them to register for the class until they've completed the prerequisite, because we want them to come to the class having the knowledge they need to participate. And so we don't want to have to spend time validating whether or not they have that, so we have it set up that way in the system. And then we also have some more what we call social activities. So you may go to a class live or virtual, you may complete an e-learning, but then there's also the hands-on part of it. And this is where one of the areas where we really want to bring that human touch into the learning. So yes, they get human touch with an instructor if they're live or virtual, but it's really important to us that an employee's manager is part of their learning journey. And in today's world where we can automate things and assign things in a system and they can log in from anywhere with an internet connection and complete this learning, we wanted the managers to be able to have a part in their development early on, not after they got out of training. And so we were able to set up some things like tasks and activities that the learner would need to go in and do. There were asynchronous tasks, meaning they could do them anytime they wanted to, but it required interaction with their manager. It might be a role play. It might be an activity to look at their book of business and identify top clients so that when they get through their core training, they're ready to hit the ground running, making some prospecting phone calls, pulling some doors, making some visits. But we also wanted to be able to track that, to know that it was completed. And so we're able to set it up so that it's not just the learner that's saying, yep, that's done, because they could access it and look at it and say, okay, I'm just going to go make my way through this, click the button, I signed off on it. But we have it set up so that not only do they have to sign off on it, but their manager can go in and say, this has been completed, validating that the activity has been done. And as we see here on the screen, this was a kind of a zoomed in shot, but we really have a pretty robust program that's about 96 hours worth of onboarding when a new employee comes into the system and comes into the organization. And then to hone in just a little bit more on that human aspect, when we set up the curriculums within the learning management system, we do all these cool things, right? We do these things like prescriptive rules. And with a prescriptive rule, as you may know, allows you to do is given a certain piece or pieces of criteria on an individual's user profile in the HRIS system, when they come into your learning management system, it says, okay, they're this job type in maybe this location and in this job family. So when I see that, I'm automatically going to assign them one of the curriculums that matches their role or their job type. And then as soon as that happens, emails start going out, and then they're saying, okay, I'm with the company, I got an email, I can click here, I can start my training. And they can technically do all that without really talking to somebody. So we really wanted to drive a culture where, again, the leader or the manager was directly involved with their development from day one. So what we did is we created a program that's called the Learner and Their Coach. And what that allows us to do is build those relationships early on with the manager and set expectations, and then we're able to ensure success. I think one of the things that's key when we began these personalized learning journeys is that we did do some measurement tracking, and we did use Salesforce data, and we did take a look at folks who didn't go through this program versus did go through this program, and we saw double-digit increase in performance in the weeks and months. If you think about a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding, they were coming out of that onboarding much stronger, able to produce much faster, and they already had that relationship with their coach. And then the other piece of it is getting informal. And I think, we all, when you need to know something, when I need to know something today, what do we do? What do? I pull out my phone, I go to Google, I Google it, I get my answer, I do what I need to do, and I go on my merry way. I remember I needed to fix some plumbing at my house one time, and I was like, I'm not calling a plumber, I can do this. And so I went to Lowe's website, I went out, I looked up this part, they had the part that I knew that I needed, and they also had a little video that showed me exactly what I needed to do to repair that part of broken plumbing under my sink. And because of that video, I was able to save myself time, I was able to save myself money, because I was able to do it myself. And so whenever we can create an environment where someone needs to know how to do something, and we're very visual, right? So it's great to have step 2, step 3, and it's great to have text. And maybe if you're pitching a product, this is what it should sound like, and you can read that off the paper. But what's more important is that you're able to not just read it, but you're able to hear it, you're able to see it, and then you're able to practice it and create your own video and share that with your manager and have them give you feedback. And you can do all of this without being in the same location. And so we really, the other part of this was getting informal and taking all of the content that we had in 6 or 7 different systems like Salesforce and 3 or 4 different SharePoint sites and in people's email, and then institutional knowledge that's just kind of embedded in our brain sometimes that we don't write down and we don't document. And getting all that content and organizing it within the same highly searchable system, so that whether I'm on desktop or whether I'm on a mobile device, I can go to the same system and I can get that just-in-time content. I can watch that video that I need on how to pitch this product. I can watch the video I need on how to handle an objection when I'm out on a sales call. Or I can play that video when I know how to fix something that's tangible that I need to fix. And so we were able to organize all this content into what we called Salespedia. It's called our Knowledge Wiki. And as you can see, just some of the breakdown, we can get into very specific things, showing here the search. So maybe I'm looking for rates for our digital display product. I could just, I could go to the product page where I've got links to all the content, or I can just use the main navigation, the main search. I can type in digital rate and bingo, there I go. I can click on it, get what I need, and go on my merry way. And then finally, we take a look at just tracking and measuring effectiveness. And this is always where, in any initiative that you put forward, you really want to see the fruits of your labor. And is what we're doing what we intended it to do from the onset? And so, as I mentioned, we had another portal, and really that other portal was just linking out to all these other portals that were available. And none of the content lived in one place. And so we took year-over-year data and we looked at the metrics around what we had before we launched these personalized learning journeys and this single learning solutions technology for our organization versus what some of the metrics were a year into the launch. And what we noticed is that our user sessions went up 67%. And you say, well, what does that really mean? In digging a little deeper in the feedback we received, what it meant was that people were actually using the resources that we had available to be able to get the information they needed versus picking up the phone and sending an email asking their manager question after question after question. We saw things like page views go up, and our bounce rate, what's very interesting to note, is the bounce rate went down 57%. And that's attributed to the fact that things were highly searchable, things were well organized, and people were able to get in, get what they needed, and get out. And this is just a little bit of data that kind of shows, before we launched this solution, we had some user data, and then when we converted that to a single solution, we saw the usage of the content go up dramatically. And then lastly here, numbers are good, but again, that human piece is what are people saying about it? Here's one comment that came at the launch from this. This is great stuff. This will help us answer a lot of questions, especially having, and in our case, Saba, video to refer other users to help them do their job. And here's another one. I just gained access to the sales portal. The conversation thread, the Q&A is wonderful. So again, we were able to set up scenarios, set up solutions where people could go in and get answers that they needed in one single location, and they were literally learning on the fly. And that's what we really set out to accomplish. So in summary, we were able to simplify the complex systems that we had using curriculums for onboarding. We were able to better coach and integrate relationships within our organization. We were able to consolidate learning from many different platforms into one easy-to-use platform. And then finally, we were able, and we gained this, where we were able to get data to compare to. Getting the data out of one system and one set of metrics is a lot easier and helps us to be able to report out on that much more quickly than we could in the past. And so that's it. You see my information up here. Keep in touch. If you have a question, feel free to email me. And I hope that you all enjoyed the session.